welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian. I'm streaming to you from beautiful Victoria here in Western Canada. This is the capital of the province of British Columbia. I hope that wherever you are in this world right now, you are having a great day and you are looking forward to a fantastic weekend. This is an IELTS listening class. The topics will be registration and a business meeting. Listening is the first part of the sit down in the IELTS exam, the sitting version of the test, unless you are doing the paper-based IDP exam in India. They have changed the pattern of that exam. And listening comes later, writing comes first. So regardless, you will be doing the listening. Listening takes about 50 minutes, 40 minutes of listening. It's 4 parts. Today we're focusing on part 1 and 2. Welcome to Carolina, our chat moderator. You see Carolina in blue. She helps to keep the chat focused on the lesson, as well as answers questions for students. So thank you for helping us out. Welcome, Sonia, Chayan Kip. Good to see many of our regular students in the class. This is a subscribers chat class. So to join the chat today, you need to be a subscriber of our channel. It's definitely a good idea to subscribe, because we have regular live IELTS lessons. We have new HD content coming out all the time. We have posts with task 1, task 2 essays, and of course our live class schedule notification. So subscribe, hit the notification button, and begin learning for IELTS successfully. This lesson is brought to you by aehelp.com for academic IELTS. Visit us there. For general IELTS, gieltshelp.com. Those are our websites. We use these websites regularly for these live classes, for the materials. We will be using these websites today for the listening audio and the listening questions. We have exams on these websites and we use these to teach. So to learn effectively, I highly recommend joining the premium course. It's a one-time payment. It's not expensive at all. You just click this big red button that's above my head there. It's a one-time payment, lifetime access. We're an official IELTS test registration center for Saudi Arabia. We are also test registration centers for IDP in several countries for the online exam, and certified British Council agents. So you're in great hands with us. And for general IELTS, go to gieltshelp.com. Again, click that big red button that's just above my head there to join our premium IELTS package and begin learning. Follow the study plans and learn for success. All right. Lots of questions in the chat. David is asking, why didn't I use the past tense when writing about the past in task 1? It's probably because I was referring to the graph rather than the year, David. So if I'm referring to the graph and not the year, I'm using present general tense for that. That was the previous class. That was task 1 that David was asking about. But in this class, again, we're going to be doing listening in just a moment. You can use the discount code pattern20 for a 20% discount on our websites. Also, you can download our apps, Academic IELTS Help, General IELTS Help, from your app stores, and link the app to the website so that you can learn from your mobile and from your PC. They work together, the app and the website. So definitely check those out. Of course, we have Instagram. We do lots of fun posts on Instagram, including our schedules as well. So IELTS_AEHelp and GIELTS Help for Instagram. And if you have any questions, send me an email. If you're still not sure, you have questions about our course or about IELTS or about English, send me an email, adrian@aehelp.com. That's me, Adrian. And I will gladly answer your questions, or one of my colleagues. And be sure to register for free classes on Lighthall and on Discord. We've got some classes this Sunday, and they're free. And one's on Lighthall, which is a platform specifically designed for live teaching, and the other is Discord, which is, of course, many people know, a very useful tool for communities. Check out IELTS Prep. We are their official partners. Check out our channel on IELTS Prep server. Carolina, if you could put that link for the Discord class again into the chat, I would super appreciate that. So Carolina is going to put that link for the Discord class on Sunday. That will be a speaking class, by the way. Both of those will be speaking classes. So check those out. So yeah, Lighthall and Discord. We've got listening coming up. Let's do that. So listening tips. Let's start with a couple of tips for the listening section. First of all, listening for many of you is still the first section that comes at the beginning of your IELTS exam. Even if you're in India, if you're doing the computer-based exam, listening is first. Okay. So a lot of candidates are quite nervous when they get into their IELTS exam, and it takes them a few minutes to calm down and to get focused. So here's some good news for you, okay? The listening section starts with a 90-second introduction instructions. Okay, you're going to hear that in our audio as well. So basically they will play the audio when you begin the listening section, and the first 1 minute, a little bit more of the audio will be welcome to the IELTS exam. You will start with this listening section. You will only hear the audio once. Make sure to answer the questions, and so on. There's no example anymore in the listening section, not since 2020, so no examples, but there's still about a good solid minute and a bit of instruction time. Now, when you're feeling nervous, that's your time to kind of focus and calm down, okay? So it starts with this listening 90-second introduction instructions. Use this time to calm down and get focused. Pay attention to two important strategies. Okay, number one, visualize the audio. So visualize what you hear. Okay, so for example, in just a moment, we will listen to some audio and you will hear a man that's registering for municipal office. So they're registering to become kind of like a politician, I guess, or a representative for their community. So visualize what you hear. For example, when you hear an audio about a registration, imagine that you are the one registering for office or school or travel. Okay, so whatever that audio is, picture yourself. Okay, imagine that you're that person. Get focused. That will help you to calm down. All right. And the second strategy is during the instruction time, so during this 90 seconds, look at the topic of each of the 4 listening parts. You are allowed to do that. It's okay to do that. I don't hear people complaining about the examiner not allowing them to do that, or the proctors not allowing them to do that. Technically, they should let you do that. It's allowed. So look at the topic of each of the 4 listening parts. In the computer-based exam, use the quick navigation at the bottom of your screen to do that. Okay, so when you're doing the computer delivered test, at the bottom you can actually jump through all of the listening parts and questions very quickly. You will see a navigation bar at the bottom of your screen, and you can just click and jump to each of the different parts so that you can see what the topics are for each of the parts. Okay, so don't panic, stay focused, concentrate on yourself. You deserve to be in the exam. You've put a lot of energy, time, money, effort into getting ready. So take a deep breath, concentrate, visualize, and focus, and don't be nervous. Being too nervous is not a good idea. Okay, all right. So having said that, let's take a look at our listening exam for today. So this is coming from our 6th test. We've got 6 exams up on the website, and we've got 4 more in development. And then this is going to be part 1. So, you know, here it says section 1. You will see a little bit of a difference. Again, in 2020, they basically made 2 changes to IELTS. One change is they stopped calling these sections. They started calling them parts. So it'll say part 1. That's just kind of to decrease confusion for students, so that, you know, it's listening section, reading section, writing section, and then it's part 1 listening, part 2 listening. So before they used to call them section 1 listening, and it was like, okay, listening section, section 1 listening. And so anyway, not a big change there. The bigger change is the example. So if you're using some study materials that are a couple years old, you will always hear these examples like, now you will hear an example. And then the example is just kind of to show you what it sounds like, but they realize that that's confusing for some students or causes some kind of problem. So they basically threw out the example, and now you just listen and answer right away. Now, when you're practicing listening at home, definitely, you know, use different strategies to practice. Sometimes if you're new to IELTS and new to listening, you want to review the questions before you listen. But if you've practiced a fair bit, then try to simulate the real exam. So start the audio and use the strategies as you listen. Okay. All right. Tommy Shiomi is asking, how much time will you have for the computer-based exam to transfer answers to the answer sheet? The simple answer is none, because you're basically answering in the computer, so there's no transferring. And I think Carolina is also answering that question as well. They give you 3 minutes to review your answers for spelling mistakes and such, but it's not like the paper-based exam where you have 10 minutes to transfer answers to the answer sheet. So the paper-based exam is a little bit different at the end of the listening in this way. Okay. Some of you might be wondering right now, well, should I do the computer-based exam or should I do the paper-based exam? The simple answer for that is always choose the computer-based exam if you can touch type in English. If you cannot touch type, you should choose the paper-based exam if that's available. Okay? In some places you don't really have a choice. But if you have a choice, always choose the computer-based exam as long as you can touch type in English. Okay, touch type means looking at the screen while typing. All right, it's very hard to do well in the computer-based exam if you have to look at your fingers while you type. Okay. All right, Tommy, in the computer-based exam, you will not be writing your answers on the paper first. You will be answering them in the computer while you listen. Okay, do not try to write them on paper first because you will be in big trouble. Okay, Alicia says, yeah, I can't type that quickly, so I registered for the paper-based version. Students, just okay, well, another quick tip since we're on this topic here. Learning to touch type in English is an extremely important skill for your life. Okay. Use rapid typing. It's a free piece of software. It's a beautiful piece of software. It's 100% free. We don't get anything from giving you this information. They're 100% freeware. Okay, no ads, no gimmicks, nothing. They've been around for a long time. Somebody just made it a long time ago, and it's been just a beautiful piece of software. It's called rapidtyping.com. Okay, so use that to learn to touch type. If you can't touch type in English, it's not just going to be problems for a computer-based IELTS exam. It's going to be problems at university and at work and for emails, and you're wasting a ton of your life, energy, and time by finger pecking. Okay, so learn to touch type. All right. Okay, let's do this. So let's do the listening. So everybody get ready to listen. I'm going to play the audio for this. All right. So we're going to hop over to our website here, and we're going to use the academic, although the general is the same. The listening section is the same for both academic and general versions of the IELTS. Here again, this is aehelp.com. Once again, you can click the big red button to join our premium IELTS package. And when you do that, you have a My Student account. And in your My Student account, you have computer-based practice exams here. You have all 6 of the exams in computer-based format. You have an interactive course that gives you interactive lessons for listening, reading, writing, speaking. It takes about 50 hours to go through that. And then you can download the exams in paper-based, so you can try the paper-based version as well. And then you've got lesson videos for each of the parts. There's a lot of videos, so you can spend even a couple of weeks looking at all of our videos. As you can see, there's several hundred videos there, the full version, no ads. Good idea to get it. And then we have our audio CDs, the audio for the exams, especially, of course, if you're doing the paper-based and you downloaded the PDF. So here we have 7 CDs, I believe. They're called CDs with different tracks, so you can kind of follow with it. And this is, right now, we are doing test 6. So it's going to be CD 6 track 1 for those of you who have access to the premium course. If you don't worry, I'm going to play the audio in the class. So you're good to go. Now, we are going to answer the questions while we listen. We're going to use the strategies I just said by visualizing and looking at the topics of the different sections. And then we will go over the answers after together, and I will tell you more strategies of what you should and should not do. So pay careful attention. Don't put your answers into the chat while you're listening. Just put your answers on a separate piece of paper or a separate document, and then you don't confuse other people watching with your answers. So let's listen, let's answer, and then we'll talk more strategy, okay? So practice and strategy. Here we go, everyone.
This recording is copyrighted by 2 Think One Solutions Inc. and World ESL Tutors. You will hear several different recordings, and you will answer questions on what you hear. There will be time given to read the instructions and questions, and you will be given a chance to check your work. The recordings will be played only once. The test is made up of 4 sections. At the end of the test, you will have 10 minutes to transfer your answers to the answer sheet. Now turn to Section 1. Listening Section 1. You will hear a conversation between a man and a woman concerning the requirements of running for municipal office. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 5. You will see that there is an example. This time only, the conversation relating to this question will be played.
Good morning. You've reached the Information Office for Municipal Affairs. This is Florence speaking.
Good morning, Florence. My name is Walter, and I'd like some information on running for municipal office in the upcoming election.
You're in the right place. The first piece of information I'll need from you is the specific office you'd like to run for.
Town councillor, I'd imagine.
The man says he would like to run for town councillor, so this has been indicated for you. Now we begin. You should answer the questions as you listen, because you will not hear the recording a second time. Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 5.
Good morning. You've reached the Information Office for Municipal Affairs. This is Florence speaking.
Good morning, Florence. My name is Walter, and I'd like some information on running for municipal office in the upcoming election.
You're in the right place. The first piece of information I'll need from you is the specific office you'd like to run for.
Town councillor, I'd imagine.
Great. I need some information from you in order to get you on the ballot this September. Are you ready to get started?
Yes, I'm ready.
This should only take a few minutes. OK then, let's start with your surname, Walter.
Colchester. Colchester.
And Walter is spelt in the regular fashion?
Yes, Walter.
OK, next I need your date of birth.
I was born the 11th of December, 1979.
The 11th of December 1979 makes you 36 years old at the time of the September elections. Is this correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Great. I'll need your national insurance number.
My national insurance number is WC 285-698-33.
WC 285-698-33.
That's right.
Great. And the last pieces of information I need from you are your current address and phone number.
I live at 23 Shaftesbury Lane, Plymouth, and you can reach me on 01752 667 835.
Wonderful. Next, I'll give you some information on running for municipal office.
You now have some time to look at questions 6 to 10. Now listen to the rest of the interview and answer questions 6 to 10.
First of all, you should know that you're one of 15 candidates so far that have registered for the 4 town councillor positions. Since the deadline for registration is in a week, I do not anticipate this number increasing by more than a candidate or 2. Second, please know that there are 3 all-candidate debates, of which you must attend 2 in order to qualify for office.
I have to participate in debates.
Yes, that's right. They are on the 14th and 28th of August, and the final one is held on the 4th of September. They'll be held at the local community hall on Ashford Street. Each one begins at 6 o'clock in the evening.
That sounds fine. Is there anything else I need to know?
Yes, there is. Do you plan on spending money on your campaign? This could be on adverts in newspapers, promotional signage, or other advertising.
Well, I was planning on taking an ad out in the local paper, yes.
Not a problem, but please keep in mind that there is a strict £2,000 limit on campaign spending for town councillors. All expenses must be reported to this office. Overspending will result in disqualification.
I don't think that should be a problem.
Oh, and one more thing, Mr. Colchester. There is a £50 registration fee for each candidate for town councillor. You may pay this fee over the phone by credit card, with a cheque in the post, or in person with cash, credit or debit. How would you like to pay?
I live right by the office, so I'll drop by this afternoon to pay in person.
My assistant will take care of that for you. I think that is all I need from my end. Do you have any questions?
I don't think so. Thanks for your help.
You're welcome, and good luck.
That is the end of section 1. You will now have half a minute to check your answers.
All right, students, in that half minute, check your answers. Look for spelling mistakes or look for information mistakes. That's usually what you should be looking for. That's where a lot of students lose their marks. They don't pay attention to the instructions, they write too many words, or they make some simple spelling mistakes with capitalizations or a missing S for a plural. Those tend to be the most common mistakes. So check for plural, singular, check for capitals on names, and check for instructions, 2 words only, 1 word only. Make sure you're not putting in any extra words. Let's look at this together and I'll give you more information as we go along. So notice how at the beginning I looked at all 4 parts to see what each of the 4 parts topics are. So I did this strategy that we talked about here, and the first part here, so part 1 was clearly about this person registering for office. And the second one, part 2, is some kind of a meeting, so business meeting. And if you paid close attention, you could also figure out that it's a business meeting at a software company. Okay. Part 3 was an interview with an author about books he wrote. Okay. So that was part 3. You could kind of see that from the questions. Hopefully you're following along with me. If you didn't get this much detail, that's okay. It will come with practice. But at least you should have gotten for part 3 that it was some interview about books. Okay. And then part 4 was something about transportation and roads. Okay, so we saw definitely the word roads reappear. Simran says creating the first road. So if you got that something was about roads, then you're on the right track. Now, Sonnet, you've put all of the answers you think are correct for 1 to 5 into the chat, but are they correct? I can tell right away that a lot of them are not correct. In fact, it looks like you might have only gotten 1 from 5. So that happens when you rush with the answers, students. The trick to getting high marks is to pay attention, not rush. Don't rush while you're studying for the IELTS exam, when you're preparing for the IELTS exam. Do not rush during the IELTS exam. Rushing is your enemy. So trying to quickly rush through the sections is a definite way to get a low score. Okay, so here's a little piece of wisdom. Okay, danger. Okay, do not rush when studying for IELTS or during the exam. It is a sure way to make mistakes. Okay, so don't be hasty. Take your time. All right. Okay, let's take a look at the questions. Go through them. Here we go. So this person's applying for town council, and the administrator is taking some information, starts with the full name, asks for the name, and then asks for the spelling of the name. And I can see that some of you have done this, so written the answer here. Sonnet, that's the one that you got correct. So they spell it, it's Colchester. Colchester. Listen for English spellings. English, you have to spell. It's a non-phonetic language, as we discussed last week. So the correct answer here is Colchester, spelt with a capital C. If you write a small c in your exam, you will get it wrong, okay? So small c, you will get it wrong. Now, you could write Colchester with all capitals, so you could write it as Colchester, like that. But just be careful, it's easier to make spelling mistakes when you write it like that, and it's a bit slower. See, I have a spelling mistake myself. It's Colchester, like that, right? So slower when you're using all capitals in the paper-based exam, of course. Computer-based, not so much, because you can just hit caps lock, so it's the same speed. But it is easier to make spelling mistakes. Your eye doesn't catch mistakes as easily as with lowercase letters. So careful about that, okay? So you can write Colchester, Colchester. You should learn capitalization, because even if on the listening section you can, or the reading, you can use all uppercase letters. In the writing, you cannot. So if you're making capitalization mistakes in the writing, you will still lose marks, okay? So keep that in mind, all right? Okay, now notice that with this form, the answers didn't come in like a perfect order. So it wasn't like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They gave you the answer. They kind of jumped around a bit. I believe the next answer was actually the date of birth. And that can happen when you have a form completion, because the form itself is one question set, right? So in rare cases, you might hear answers to the next question. So you might hear an answer for 3 before you hear 2, or before you hear 1. And there's a reason for that, because they might say it again later, but they might not. So try to write it down as soon as you hear the answer, okay? So what was the date of birth for Mr. Colchester? The day, the month, and the year. Now, Vamshiki says, put the caps lock on for the whole section. You can, but just remember, it won't work for the writing section, okay? All right, so it was the 11th of December, 1979. Yeah, 11 December, oh, still got my caps lock on, December 1979. And this answer came before the address, so that's why I'm focusing on it now. And that's right, this is the easiest way to write it. 11 DEC dot 1979. That's all you need. You will get it right. Okay. Okay, let's jump back to number 2. I think that came next. All right. Munshi's asking, why do I have to figure out the topic of all of the 4 parts? Can't I just do it one at a time? You are going to do it at one at a time, Munshi, but you need to think about the all 4 parts so that your brain can start working on that information in the background while you're doing part 1. The brain is an incredible piece of biological machinery, and it's able to process ideas and thoughts well beyond your conscious thinking. So you want the topics to be swimming around in your head for all 4 parts, okay? Purba, yeah, you can write 11/12/1979 like that as well, or you could write it like this. This is the international standard, and the international standard works really well. So you could do 1979 /12 /11 like this. Okay, I really like this style of year, month, day. This is the international standard now, and this is great because, you know, we have so many ways of writing month, day, year. The order, the words, the numbers, the what are they called? Superscripts, when you have the little th, 11th superscript. So there's so many ways to do it, and it's quite confusing. And sometimes we're like, well, is that the year, or is that the month, or is that the day? What is that? What are we looking at? So the international standard that I just wrote up here, 1979, 1211, that's a really good way to write it. It's quick, it's fast, it's clear, no mistakes. Okay. All right, good question. Sure. All right. Okay, good. So the phone number, definitely practice listening to numbers. There's almost 100% chance that you will have to write down numbers or even choose numbers or both during the listening section. So don't make mistakes with numbers. They're easy marks. If you have trouble hearing 15 or 50, then listen for that kind of audio. We have that on our website. So if you go to, again, aehelp.com, then you have these bonus speaking here. Let's listen to one a little bit, might as well. So
Numbers. 0,
yeah, there we
1,
go. Numbers, British.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 1000, 10,000, 100,000, 1 million, 1 billion.
All right, so that's numbers in with a very clear British English London accent. Okay, so definitely be familiar with numbers, be comfortable listening to numbers. Okay. Shahil, I did not say use capital letters only. In fact, I warned you that using only capital letters can lead to more spelling mistakes and slower answers. You should learn to use proper capitalization, but you can use capitals in the listening, okay? If you're confused, send me an email. I recommend using proper capitalization, both lower and uppercase letters, Shahil, to be clear on that. Okay, phone number. So what was this phone number here? For those of you who listened for the phone number, what was the phone number of Mr. Colchester? Now, you don't have to worry about spaces. You don't have to worry about hyphens for phone numbers, so you don't need to think about that. Although, when you're writing the phone number, it might be a good idea to put a space when you hear a little bit of a break in the audio. Just so that you can visually see what you're doing a bit better, okay? But I believe it was 1752 667. Okay, and I think there was a break there according to my little cheat sheet. 835. Okay. Hopefully some of you got that for Mr. Colchester's phone number. So 1752-667-835. Okay. I'm a little bit surprised that... oh, sorry. Yes, that's the number. Yeah. Okay, so I'm a little bit surprised that nobody's giving me that. Dwee says it's 752. Yeah, I'll look at number 2. Baljeet, I missed number 2, but I'll look at that in a second. Okay. All right. And then, let's go back to number 2. The address actually came later. That's why I didn't get to number 2. It's not that I skipped it so much. It's that they actually gave the answer for number 2 after they gave you the date of birth and maybe even the phone number. Okay. So anyway, if you got this phone number, good for you. Again, don't worry too much about spaces. So there we go. All right, so here the address was something Shaftesbury Lane. Okay. Make sure not to repeat information in your answer sheet. So do not write Shaftesbury Lane into the answer sheet if you're doing the paper-based exam. If you repeat information that is given in the questions, then you can lose a mark. Okay. I don't think there was a 0 before the 1. All right, 23, Shaftesbury Lane. If you're not sure about it, right, like if some of you are saying, oh, there's a 0. I don't think there was a 0, but we can always check. If you feel like, you know, oh, Adrian missed a 0, we can take a look. So here we can go to the transcripts. And the transcripts for us are at the back of the book. It's page 159. Let's check. Okay. Transcripts, every good book should have transcripts. We have transcripts for all of our audio. It means that you can actually look at what they're saying in a written form, and that's really useful for your learning. Okay. So here, yeah, that's the answer sheet. So it's 181. Okay. Oh, it is 159, sorry. There, okay, there we go. Okay, so here is the transcript, okay? And here you can see Florence and Walter talking to each other, and then Florence is giving Walter some information. There you can see the spelling of Colchester, okay? And Walter as well. There you can see the date, how they give the date, of course, and then the phone number is, there it is. Yeah. So the phone number does have a 0. There we go. So in the transcript, it does have a 0, and so you need it. Yeah, if you miss the 0, then you'll get it wrong. So if I missed the 0, as I did, now I was, for my own grace, I wasn't writing it like you. So if you miss the 0, you'll get it wrong. So you do need the 0, okay? If you hear that 0, 1, 2, or 1752, then you need to write that, okay? All right, so whoever had the 0, you're right, okay? All right, so transcripts, check the, oh, maybe you can't see the 0, sorry, you can't see it. There, now you can see it. That was hidden behind my head there. All right, so now you can see it above my head there. Yeah, there's the 0. I put it in red. So there's the 0. 0, 1, 2. So you have to definitely get that, okay? If you don't get every number, you do not get the correct answer. Okay? All right, so let's go back to the questions. And some of you probably saw some of the answers now for some parts if you're really paying attention. Okay, so back to page 76. There. Okay, so this 23 Shaftesbury Lane actually came later. All right, so let's stick that 0 in there. 0, 1, 7. Okay. All right. Now, national insurance numbers. So more numbers. You could have credit card numbers, postal code numbers, phone numbers. So lots of date of birth numbers. So lots of different numbers. So using numbers in the IELTS is a good idea. Shooter Sean says it's WC28569833. Simran seems to agree. Purba seems to agree as well. So WC, use capitals for this kind of answer for sure. It's clear. Okay, so 2856 9833. There you go. That seems right to me. Okay, if everybody has that, everybody agrees, so good. Let's keep going. Now, here we had a little table completion. So we had a break, and then we were continuing here. Second debate, not the first debate, not the third debate. So you had to catch this one. You had to really listen carefully. The date was super fast, I thought anyway. That happens in the IELTS. So this is where note-taking is sometimes helpful. It was the second debate, and the second debate will take place August 28th. The final debate will be in September. So August 28th is the second debate, and the time of the second debate, okay, and it's 2 words here. So pay attention to that. The time of the day is at 6 p.m. 6 p.m. Yes, it is. All right. Baljeet, 18 o'clock? Sure. Yeah. Depender, 6 o'clock, no good. Because they say 6 in the evening. So it's 6 o'clock in the morning or 6 o'clock in the evening. Be very careful with the 24-hour clock, okay? So keep this in mind. Be careful with a 24-hour clock. Okay? What I mean by that is PM or AM. Okay? If you're not sure, use the 24-hour clock. So write 18 like this. Again, more numbers, right? So write 18 like that. Okay? If you just wrote 6 o'clock, they can mark that wrong because it's not right. So neat, you don't write 18. You have to write 18:00. Okay? It's not wrong if you write the phone number without spaces. You don't have to write spaces for the phone number. Okay? All right. Then we had a bit more information here. Notice how they give you the signal for pound there. Okay? So don't write pound or don't write the signal. They gave that to you. So all you need to do is just write the number. Okay? So what is the campaign spending limit? It's £2,000. That's right. Okay? So all you need is 2,000. Beauty Princess, you do not need to write pound if it is included in the answer. Cheyenne Kip, you do not write 2,000 and then 2,000 as words as well. Just the number, okay? This is correct also if you write 2,000, but I recommend using the number. It's easier and there's less chance for spelling mistakes. So don't write 2,000 like that. Just write 2,000 like that, okay? So choose the simplest path for the correct answer. That will help you pay more attention. Mattel says 2K. Yeah, that works too. You could do that. K is the symbol for 1,000, so you could do 2K like that. But again, just to be on the safe side, like that. Okay? All right. How much is the registration fee? Again, they gave us this number. It's not quite as much. So how much is the registration fee? Sunil, it's not £200. It's 50. That's right. So 2 numbers for 8 and 9. For 8, it was 2,000. And for 9, it was just simply 50. Okay. Now, question 10, you had to choose 3 of these, and it's just one question, so you have to get all 3 correct. Excuse me, to get, you have to get all 3 of these correct to get it right. Okay. Talking about ways to pay the registration fee, and I just wrote down cash, check, or credit. So that's what they mentioned. Now, cash, check, or credit, there's certain ways to use cash, check, or credit. So direct debit, no, they didn't say that. Check by post. Yeah, they said that. Okay, that was good. Credit in person, that looks good. Okay, so you should be able to pay credit card in person. And cash by post, no. Nobody should tell you to send cash by post, okay? That's just remember that. You should not be sending money in an envelope. It's a bad idea. It's untraceable. If it gets lost, it's gone forever. So no government office will tell you to send cash in the mail. If that's happening, it's a scam. Watch out. Okay, IELTS is real in this way. They're not going to give you false information, especially dangerous false information. Credit card over the phone, yeah, we do that all the time. Check over the phone, no. Although modern banking apps can do that, no, it's not common. Okay, so to a bank you can send a check by phone, but that's about the only place you can send a check by phone. So here, it's easy to figure it out because logic was also very useful here. So they didn't say a direct debit, okay, and you can't send or you shouldn't send a cash by post, and you can't really send a check over the phone unless it's to a bank. So really the only answers that are plausible here are B, C, and E. Okay, that makes sense. All right, so B, C, and E. Okay. All right, students. Question. What did you get from 10? How was your score? What did you get out of 10? I'm curious. How did you do? And be honest. The only one you're cheating is yourself. Okay. So if you got 9 or 10, you're doing great. If you got 8, if you got under 8, you need to be careful. Ideally in part 1 of the listening. Okay. So keep this in mind, everyone, for part 1 of listening. Your goal must be to get 9 or 10 answers correct from 10. Because the next parts will be harder and you are more likely to lose more marks. Okay? So part 2, part 3, part 4 become way more challenging than part 1. Part 1 is by far the easiest. Anybody who has taken the IELTS exam will tell you that. They will say part 1's pretty easy for the listening. Part 2, 3, 4, not as much. Okay? So you want to try to get at least 9 or 10, right? If you're under that, be careful. Okay? All right, everybody, but so far so good. Chin up, you're in the right place, you're practicing. Let's go back to our website again. Use the websites for learning, everyone. Spend a couple dollars to get good materials. If you're just fishing for free IELTS materials online, you might not get the best score that you can. So it's okay to spend a few dollars and really have good materials. And even if you're using, some of the other guys like IELTS Daily or E2 Learning, it's the same for them. They also have support materials, and their websites and their YouTube channels work much, much better when you spend a couple dollars. So I don't care if you do it with us, but spend a couple dollars to get the right set of materials. Okay, well, I do care. I mean, I hope you do it with us, but if you don't, it's your choice. So let's do part 2. Okay. Part 2, listen, answer while we listen. Keep the answers separate from the chat. We will go over the answers together in the chat afterwards, okay? So again, if you're writing all the answers in the chat, you're maybe getting them wrong and you're maybe confusing other students. So don't do that, okay? Just wait till we're done, all right? Be patient. You will get the answers. This I promise you. Okay, let's do this. So let's go to number 2. Now we know that number 2 is something about a person, or it's a meeting, right? It's the company meeting. Something is like with software. Okay, our mind is working with that information, right? Company meeting. They're probably discussing like their budget, their projects, how they're doing in their work. All right, let's do this.
Now turn to section 2. Take some time to look at questions 11 to 16. Listening section 2. You will hear a recording of 3 people discussing strategy for an upcoming meeting with investors. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 16. Now listen carefully to the interview and answer questions 11 to 16.
Thank you both for coming in for this preparatory meeting. As you know, we have an extremely important meeting with our investors next week. While I'm more than confident in the work we have done over the past year, we must be prepared to justify our progress to our investors. After all, they are the ones who pay our salaries. First, I want to review the positive outcomes we've achieved over the past year. This will make up the bulk of our presentation. Amy, would you like to give us a rundown on this front?
Sure. We've achieved many positive outcomes over the past year, and furthermore, we've achieved more in the past 4 months than in the previous 8 months. So we're certainly showing significant progress. First, and most important, sales of our app are up 50% from last year, totaling 586,000 units in the past 12 months, up from 390,000 units in the previous year. This is great progress. Second, we're achieving a higher purchase rate. While our sales are up 50%, the number of total downloads has remained relatively constant. This means our conversion rate has increased 50% as well. This clearly demonstrates that our efforts in this area have been fruitful. By targeting the conversion rate instead of the raw download rate, we have raised our standing and search result priority within the application stores. This will eventually lead to a higher download rate and even more sales. The upward trajectory here is very clear. We have also decreased the complaint rate from 2.5% to 1.5%. While our goal is to get this rate as close to 0 as possible, this decrease represents a positive outcome and shows that our efforts to increase customer satisfaction have been successful.
Yes, but if I may interrupt, I actually have to disagree on one point. I don't believe it should be a goal to get the complaints rate down to 0. While we certainly don't want a high complaint rate, the resources spent on getting the complaint rate down are better spent on increasing downloads and increasing the conversion rate. I think this is an important point to be made to the investors. While we certainly value the quality of our product, we are much more focused on maximising the value of the investor's investment. I think such a tack will go over well with the investors.
You now have some time to look at questions 17 to 20. Now listen to the rest of the interview and answer questions 17 to 20.
That's a great point. we really want to emphasize that we are doing everything we can to optimize and maximize the money and resources we've been supplied with. Speaking of which, are we all agreed that we will be asking for 20% increase in operating budget?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. And how are we going to justify such an increase?
Well, certainly by pointing to the statistical outcomes you previously referenced, but also by our need to expand. We need to increase our catalogue of apps, and to do this, we will need to hire at least 2 additional developers. In addition to this, I think we are now at the point in our business where hiring a market analyst would be justified. Such a person could be charged with finding niches to exploit within the market. Right now, our operations in this regard are rudimentary at best, and an expert in the field could help increase our sales volume significantly. Such an expert's salary might take up 5% of our operating budget, but could lead to a 10% increase in sales or more. The 5% difference would result in a net income increase of almost £100,000.
I agree. Hiring a market analyst is long overdue. One more justification for a budget increase is an across-the-board pay rise, if only at the rate of inflation. 2%, say. This would go a long way to increasing worker morale and output quality. In addition to this...
That is the end of section 2. You will now have half a minute to check your answers.
All right, let's hop back to the website here, stop the audio, and then go through the answers together. Again, use the website, students. It's there to help you. Okay, and we'll talk some strategy while we give the answers here. So, yeah, number 11, I was looking at number 12, but then I realized, oh, wait a second, there's still number 11 there. So do pay attention to the numbers, okay? And then you'll make sure that you don't miss any questions. So here, I did realize that, and I went back in time. And then number 11, who pays the salaries of the workers in the recording? Okay, even if you kind of missed it, you should be able to figure this out logically. I mean, they mention this, so it was plural. It doesn't need to be capital because it's a common noun, and the word was investors. Okay, so the investors, and we hear about the investors a few times in the audio. So even if you had to guess here, your best guess would be the investors. They talk about the investors and salary at the end of the audio as well. So if you missed it, you should be able to answer this, okay, at any point. Investors, Beauty Princess, Sunil, Metal, good. Okay, Pima, if you're totally confused, that could be a problem. You need to stay focused and not overthink it, okay? You didn't have to understand all of those numbers or all of the trickier words that they used. You can still get a good mark. Okay, sales. So here we have a table. When you have a table, pay really careful attention to what the table is comparing. So here, the table is comparing the current year, so the year right now in the company, to the previous year. Okay, so current year compared to the previous year, and importantly, it's comparing the change. Okay, so the change from the previous year. Okay. That was the focus here. So sales are up 50%. So that's the change. The change is 50%. And the current year is the actual number, which means the number of sales, the units. Anybody catch how many units they sold this year? It was a nice big number, but it was a clear number if you caught it. She said it very clearly. So she said, this year we have this many sales, which is 50% from last year, which was this many sales, and gave both. Okay, Beauty Princess says 586. A Beauty Princess, you missed that by 3 zeros. It was 586,000. Okay, So that was the correct number, 586,000, and then they give the half of that, which was 300 and something thousand. Okay, so the correct answer for number 12, 586,000. Okay, Shudarshan Metal, there you go. Simran, comma is okay after the 586. Metal 586K is okay as well. All right, downloads, we don't need to worry about that. There's no question there, but we should listen for the word download so that we know where we are in the audio. And once they talk about downloads, we know that they're going to be talking about conversion or purchase rates. This was a fairly easy one. There was a slight comparison here. Conversion and purchase rates. What were they? Anybody, can you tell me what were the conversion or purchase rates? They were up. And it was very clear because the speaker even explains it. The speaker says, we don't have really more downloads than last year, but our conversion rates are up, and that's why our sales are double. So conversion rates were 50%. Okay. Yeah, don't be confused by the question number. Okay. So you're not looking at the question number, you're looking at the space that needs to be filled in. Okay, here the space that needs to be filled in is 50. So 50. And this one was, let's get the right color going on it. There we go. All right, so number 13 is 50, and then we had one more number, complaint rate. So this year the complaint rate is up a little bit. It's 1.5%, which is not surprising. They have more sales, they have more complaints. And then they said it's a change. There was a complaint rate of 2.5% in the so 2.5% in this year, and then 1.5%. So it was down by, this is always a tricky one, it always gets everybody. Alicia, you're correct. The answer here is 1. Okay, because it's the change. Okay. So the change from the previous year is 1%. So sorry, it was 2.5% previous year minus 1.5% this year equals a difference of 1%. And if some of you are wondering, really, IELTS, you have to do math? Yeah, you do. You have to really pay attention, right? That's why this part here, you have to pay attention to what you're doing. It's the change. Okay, so you're looking at the change here from the previous year. Okay, current year, you're looking at the numbers and you're looking at the change from last year. You're not looking at last year. You're not looking at the numbers of last year, right? So 1%. You might have to do some math in the IELTS. It will be simple math, but it will be math to make sure that you're really paying attention and you're not just listening for numbers. Okay. So 1. Everybody got that? That was an important point. It's you can really pick up 1 or 2 answers that way. It's not really math tricks, Sunil. It's more paying attention to the information and interpreting. So it's not so much the math that's important here, because all of you know that 2.5 minus 1.5 is 1, hopefully. Okay, so I think everybody knows that. It's not the math. It's the paying attention to the information in the question. Okay, pay attention to the information in the question. All right, so here for 15 and 16, the multiple choice. And multiple choice, a lot of students complain about multiple choice in the listening section. No need to complain. By the way, if some of our viewers are trying to join the chat and you can't, it's because you have to subscribe to our YouTube channel to join the chat. So keep that in mind, okay? Carolina says, yeah, hopefully we can figure out 2.5 minus 1.5 is 1. Absolutely. Okay, so here I'm paying attention to the question and I'm paying attention to what they're saying. I'm not paying attention to the choices. I'm paying attention to the right answer. Everybody got that? Okay. So I almost don't even care about the choices. Usually I won't have enough time to read all the choices. Okay. So instead, I'm paying attention to this question. The investors disagree on something here. Okay, so they're like, one says one, the other says the other. They don't agree on something. And what I caught is that they don't agree on the complaint rate. So focusing on the complaint rate, one of the people at the meeting says, we have to focus more on getting even more downloads. Okay, so A, ways to increase conversion rate. How to convince investors to increase funding. C, getting the complaint rate as low as possible. Definitely C. Okay, that's what the man says. So this is where you want to take notes. Okay, multiple choice questions, take some notes. Pay attention to the question, take some notes about what you hear. Right? Multiple choice actually doesn't suck. It's actually not bad if you're listening for the answer. It sucks if you think the answer is going to like just jump in your face and go, hey, I'm the right one. You read all of them and look at that, look at me, look at it. Whoa. That really won't happen, especially with long answers. So if the answers are really short, it's okay. It might be a little bit easier to read all the answers and figure it out. But when the answers are long like this, when the choices are long answers like this, don't focus on the choices, okay? It's going to be confusing if you do that, all right? So everybody got that? So you focus on the question and you focus on hearing the answer. If you didn't hear the answer, you're guessing anyway. So if you're like, well, what if I don't hear the answer? Well, then no matter what you do, you're guessing, okay? Then you got a 33% chance of getting these ones correct. Okay. All right. All right. Shanti Ram is saying, can you say some tips and tricks for study materials to improve IELTS band scores? Shanti Ram, that's exactly what I'm doing. All right. Okay, so same idea. Number 16, the key words here were primary importance. So I'm focusing on the most important, the number one focus, the primary importance. So any English that sounds like primary importance, okay? The main objective, the main focus. So any words that sound like the person is talking about the primary focus, I listen for. And I did hear that. I can't remember the exact words, but the person says the main objective should be to maximize the investment value. Let's see. A, maximizing the value of the investor's investment. That looks pretty good. Let me check the other two just in case. Increasing the funding to hire new people. No. Convincing the company to increase downloads, raise the conversions. No, that's going to be A. A is definitely very close. I mean, even the words. I'm a little bit lucky here because the words kind of repeat here. They don't often repeat. Okay, they paraphrase them. All right, so A is correct in this case. Okay, last set of questions, 19 to 20. So we have 4 questions here. It's a summary completion. I highlighted the words that I think are going to be important. In the real exam, don't do that. When you're practicing, do that. When you're doing the real exam, don't do that. When you're doing the real exam, pay attention to the keywords, but don't circle or highlight them. You're like, I'm confused. What did he just say? So when you're practicing at home, take the time to highlight highlight keywords. That's because it will help you to focus on those, and it will help you to check if you are identifying the correct keywords. But in the real exam, don't do that because that can be distracting and take away from the audio. So pay attention to keywords, but don't highlight them, okay? I know that sounds a bit weird, but it is the right way to maximize scores, all right? All of our techniques and tips come from thousands of students' feedback and from psychometrics, from the psychology of examinations and tests, okay? So again, maybe I'll do it this way. Okay, so at home, highlight keywords. No, Microsoft Word is seeming to have some kind of issue here for me, but it's okay. We'll work through it. But not during the exam, okay? So keep that in mind, all right? Let's get it done. Okay, so the employees are requesting a 20% something in funding from the investors. One word, a fairly simple word. What was the word? Okay, so maximum 2 words here, but it wasn't a 20% budget in funding from the investors. It was easier than that. It was just increase. Now, if you wrote budget increase, that's correct too, okay? But you need the word increase. Increase is enough. You could write budget increase as well. All right? So, increase in funding from the investors. This will allow the company to hire 2 additional what? What do they want to, or who do they want to hire? 2 additional developers, that's right. Software developers, they're a software company. Now, the S here is very important. If you wrote developer, you will definitely get it wrong because it's 2 developers. They want to hire 2 additional developers. So Candy Genius, developer, no S, problem. No bracket S. It has to be an S, clear S. Developers. Okay. Who will allow the company to broaden their catalog of apps. They would also like to hire another position. This was a trickier one. Okay. Who else? It's one person here. Very good, Calvin Yu. Very good, Sonin. A market analyst. Person who analyzes the market, the target market. Who's buying? How old are they? How much are they spending? Where are they getting the information? That is the position of the market analyst. Okay, so number 19, market analyst. Very good. One more to go. So market analyst, who would be in charge of finding new areas for development. Always read the text, especially when you're practicing at home. Finally, the team wants a pay raise. They want more money pegged to the rate of what? Inflation. The 2% was just an example. The correct answer here is inflation. The woman says, say 2%, but the correct answer here is inflation. So they say, finally, I think the person says something like, if nothing more, at least at the rate of inflation, say 2%. 2% was just a suggestion, but the correct word here is inflation. I hope that's going on these days because we've got some pretty crazy inflation in the world, so I don't think people are getting those pay raises. Anyway, so 17, increase 18, developers 19, market analyst 20, inflation. That was part 2. Okay, and lots of tips for strategies there. So part 2, how did you do? What did you get from 10 on part 2? Now for part 2, Hopefully you got at least 7 correct. Let me ask you this way. How did you do out of part 1 and 2? So part 1 and 2, you had 20 total marks. What were your total marks? So if you, Sudarshan, if you got 8 from 10 on part 2, that's pretty good. Neetu, 9 is good. Kundan, 5 is on the low end. Traiduk Pham, 17 out of 20 is okay. Calvin Yu, 16 is okay. You want to push higher. Sudarshan, 18 is pretty good. 19 is very good, of course, right? If you got 19 out of 20 in part 1 and 2, you can still get a band 9 as long as you get every answer correct for the rest of the listening. On the website, students, on the bottom, there's a score calculator. So if we go to the website here, on the very bottom, you cannot see that part of my screen, but on the very bottom there, on the website at aehelp.com, you have a score calculator. When you click on that score calculator, then you can type in your score. Like, I got 40. Boom, you got band 9. That's awesome. So that's how you can calculate. If you got 4, you got 2.5. So here you go. You can calculate. And for the reading section too. I got 24. Boom, you got a 6 on the reading. Okay, so check out the website, everyone. aehelp.com for academic IELTS. Click this big red button to join our premium IELTS package so that you can follow with these live classes. You can review the material after. You can print the paper-based exams or try the computer-based exams. Watch the lesson videos in a good structured order. So one-time payment, lifetime access. Doesn't cost much at all. It's a good idea. Carolina, thank you so much for moderating. And Carolina even put our discount code into the chat. So check it out. Carolina is telling you, use the code pattern20 for 20% discount. You can definitely do that. Thank you, Carolina, for sharing the code. General IELTS, gieltshelp.com. Same idea. Click the big red button. Students, that's it for this class. Tomorrow we've got speaking part 2 for members, the cue card, and speaking part 3 for everyone. So come back at that time. Again, aehelp.com for academic IELTS, gieltshelp.com for general IELTS. You can use this code pattern20 for a 20% discount. Wherever you are in the world, I hope that you have an awesome start to your weekend. I wish you good health and happiness. I'm Adrian. I'm signing out from Victoria here near the Pacific Ocean in Western Canada. Much love to all of you. Bye for now.